Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Peyton from Sovereign Self. Today I have a couple of spreads that I've developed that I wanted to offer to you guys for use, for thought. And these two spreads, they're based on personal experience um, from my life and practice as a nurse. And the impetus for developing these two spreads came from talking with a friend of mine who was going through um, the death of a loved one in a hospice setting. Now, in my nursing practice, I've worked in three primary areas. This will be my 13th year of nursing practice. Um, I started nursing in oncology, which is cancer nursing. Um, from there, I went to hospice, which is care of the terminally ill, and then I also practiced emergency medicine, which, um, if you've ever been in an ER or familiar with the concept of emergency, you know you're dealing with trauma and death. Um, Sometimes more frequently than you would care to. So, over the course of my professional life, I've been privileged to be with hundreds of people as they left this world. And it made me think about the death archetype and how it not only applies to us literally, but it applies to our daily life in terms of, loss, transformation, which leads to rebirth. And that made me think of my second spread. I'm a mother. I have one daughter, my beautiful child, who will turn 20 this year. Oh my God. Uh, but I thought about that, the sort of the dichotomy between the birth into death and the birth into life, and how we as tarot utilizers, whether you're reading for yourself, whether you read for friends or professionally in whatever capacity, those are two really central archetypes that our tarot practices hinge around. So that led me to think about the physical manifestation of those archetypes. And for somebody who has physically been with as many deaths as I have, it kind of stimulated me to a visual space of seeing what that death looks like in a physical sense. And I thought, how can I utilize this to draw on that death archetype in tarot in order to gain nourishment from it? So I developed one spread, and that immediately led me to the second spread, which is a birth or rebirth archetype. It's a spread that deals with that concept. So what I did in these two spreads is I thought about the physical process of the dying person and the people who accompany that person in a room. If you have ever had the experience of being in a person's sick bed, especially somebody who is in the process of passing, you know what the scene of the sick bed looks like. And that is what gave me the idea of this first spread. So the two spreads, the first spread I called Spread 13, because let's face it, nobody is going to want you to plonk down and say, hey, today we're going to work with the death spread. Nobody's going to want to hear what you have to say after that. So I called it Spread 13. And what this spread concentrates on is the things in your life or your querent's life that are in the process of dying, and the ways that you are going to support that process and nourish that process. So y'all forgive, I'm obviously not a master filmmaker, and I don't have a nifty tripod yet so I can like turn things around and zoom. So I've just wrote these on a piece of paper and I'll talk you through them, okay? So the first spread is spread 13. And yeah, I know y'all are not going to see my head, so I'm just going to put this up here and I'll talk you through the positions. So number one is the patient. So this card is going to be what is in the process of dying in your life. So what are the things that are in need of transformation? What is the thing that is coming to an end, a thing that's at the point of transition that maybe you have not been able to yet identify, but you need to take a clearer look and really see, what is this thing that you need to spend time concentrating on? So next, you have the caregiver. And like I said, this is all based on personal experience. These are the people that I've seen around the sickbed. So the caregiver, this is the person who's been there the whole time providing aid and comfort, the one who's really seen to the physical needs of that patient. So this is what needs attention and nourishment during this process. So what needs your focus? What needs you to love this thing in order to accomplish, this process of transformation? How are you going to love yourself through transition? Number three is the denier, and this is a tough one. This is the person who just honestly can't accept that this process of death is taking place. This is somebody who just isn't able to come to terms with the aspect of loss, and they just, they're at a point where they're stagnant. They can't move into acceptance. So this is what is preventing you from being able to move forward in this process of transition. What are the aspects that you have not yet been able to see? What are the things that maybe you have let slip out of your frame of awareness, and what you really need to redouble your efforts on being able to move past? So this is the obstacle, the thing that prevents you from moving forward. Number four is the neighbor, and that's that person that always comes by with dinner, the person that's always there offering to take people to appointments, that neighbor, that friend, that person that you can always count on to be there when things are getting rough. So this is what is going to be available to provide physical assistance during this process. So is this card going to represent a person or a specific grounding energy? Is this a situation that is going to physically present itself, that's going to provide assistance? So this is the assistance that you're going to experience in the physical realm. And I'm sorry, I know y'all, I'm moving this all over the place, but it's hard to keep a sheet of paper steady. So then that leads us to number 5, which is the chaplain, the one who's come to offer comfort and support for the spirit, for the emotions, the one who is going to potentially administer last rites if that is a belief that you hold. This is what is going to be available to you for spiritual direction and comfort. So if you are facing whatever this is here, whatever the patient is in your life, if you're facing something that is difficult, or something that you are having a difficult time coming to terms with, in terms of being able to let this transition play out as it needs to in your life in order to get you past that point, this is going to be the energy that's going to provide you the spiritual support and comfort that you need in order to accomplish this death. Death for us in a physical sense is critical, it's essential, it's part of who we are as humans. And that same energy is also critical and essential to us as humans in terms of our personal growth and development, in terms of our spiritual growth and development. So these are all of the people players, and these are all going to represent the energies as as you kind of step back and visualize the thing it is that needs to die in that bed, and the energies that represent the faces that you would typically see surrounding it. What you step back and you look and you say, okay, this is what I'm facing, and these are the energies that are going to help me get to where I need to go in order to birth this thing into death. What needs to go? What needs to be cleared away so that there is freedom and space and openness for growth and change, and for the new to be able to enter into your life? So that led me then to what I think is the natural dichotomy, which is birth. And like I said, I'm a mom. I've given birth. So there again, I put myself back into that room where I'm in the process of giving birth. You have this thing, this amazing thing, this energy, this spirit that is moving into the world. And then almost identically, not exactly, but almost identically to the concept of the Spread 13 is, who are the players in the room as the thing is being birthed? What is it that you need to pay attention to in order to facilitate this thing moving into being? So in Spread 13, you have something moving out of being, something transitioning into death. And here, this is called the APGAR spread. So if you are a nurse, or if you've ever experienced a child being birthed, APGAR is a score that they give to the baby immediately after birth to assess their health status in like the first 5 minutes after they're born. So this is the APGAR spread. This is the process of being able to birth the thing into health, into being. And this one has 6 positions. So again, here I go with my piece of paper. Y'all bear with me. Okay, so here in the middle, you have the laboring mother. So what is desiring to come into being? What is it that you're bringing forth into the world? What is the concept? Is this a project? Is it an idea? Is it a passion? What needs birthing? What is waiting in you, waiting to come out? You're experiencing difficulty. You don't really know how to get this thing out, but it needs to come out. So you're in the process of laboring, and this is the thing that really needs to come into being. So at the foot of the bed, you have the midwife. So obviously we all know the midwife is going to be the birthing partner, the one that's going to help to assist that laboring mother. So this midwife is what you need to assist with this birthing process. So what energies need to come into play? What physical manifestations, what is it that you need in order to help bring this thing into fruition? Number 3 is the partner. So this is the one standing by holding your hand. This may be a romantic partner. This may be a friend, a family member. This is going to be your support mechanism. So what energy is it that is going to provide support to you as you go through the process of bringing this into being? Here at the head of the bed, you have the monitor. So if you've ever been, if you are a woman who has given birth, if you've ever been in a birth situation, then you know that they'll have the monitors there that help to monitor the baby's heart rate and the mom's heart rate. So this is what you need to pay closer attention to during this birthing process. So what are the signals that tell you that things are going well? What are the signals that tell you that maybe things are not going so well? These are the alarms, the red flags, or conversely, these are the things that tell you that things are going in the right direction. So these are all the little details that you really need to focus on in order to help this thing progress to the point that it needs to be. So as a card, as a read, when you're going through the process of a reading, these things are going to maybe show you an area of focus that you might not have been aware of, or maybe it was sort of like in your periphery. But these are going to give you things to really zero in on in terms of making this thing happen. So here at the bedside, you have the doctor, self-explanatory. This card is what guidance you need right now. What do you need to know above all other things? What's going to help you get this accomplished in the best way, the quickest way that you can? So the doctor's doing what the doctor does. And then here we have the incubator, which if you've, again, ever experienced a childbirth, you know that sometimes the babies might need to be warmed, or otherwise provided some additional care after they're born. So this is going to be what needs to happen in order to push the process forward. So where the monitor may give you sort of the things to be aware of, and your other players are going to be support mechanisms and places where you get guidance. The incubator is really where this thing is going to need to sit and warm. It's going to be the little cocoon that this idea or process or project, whatever it is, this is where this is going to need to sit for a while and just sort of heat up, right? So you've given birth to the thing, you've gotten all of this guidance, and in order for it to be successful, it needs to gain these energies. It needs to acquire this certain set of circumstances in order for this thing to be propelled forward into healthy life. So to me, I've used both of these spreads now a couple of times, and for me, I've gotten really good insights out of both. And I think for me, the energetic supports are really important in terms of both things. I really wanted to pull from my personal experience in both of these realms and be able to sort of present a visual aspect of this process of transformation, whether it's the death aspect or the birth aspect, sort of the physical manifestation of these transitory processes, and being able to work with them sort of in in a personalized way, so you can envision these forces as players in the process. And these experiences are something that I've experienced personally, as well as professionally. So I wanted to sort of take those experiences and sort of channel that into a spread format that I thought would be able to draw forward some deeper insight into these processes. Like I said, these are sort of the linchpin archetypes to me. These are what we operate off of as humans, and then we further on as tarot practitioners, these are our concentrated forces, that process of change and renewal, death and rebirth. All of the other archetypes of the tarot function in a bit of an orbit around this concept, because without being and lack of being, then the other archetypes, they don't really matter. If you've got the archetype of the emperor, what is the emperor if there's not existence for the emperor to impact? So as you're sort of thinking about this linchpin area of death and birth and death and birth, and this cycle that we're all involved in, how are the ways that we can utilize those forces in order to nourish ourselves? How can we experience self-growth through exploring these archetypes, these concepts, and then being able to apply them to our personal lives, or for for your querent, whoever you happen to be reading for. So as you walk through these spreads, I would encourage you, if you decide to utilize them, really think about the person that the spread position is associated with, and really think about the card that you draw in those instances, and think about that energy as personalized in the position in that spread. For me, that has helped me to kind of talk through some of the readings that I've done for myself. Um, I have not yet used these for other people. I might use my husband for a guinea pig. I don't know if he'll let me. Um, but I know I was able to kind of ferret out some some ingrained detail in both aspects, the birth and the death, because I'm in the process of some Spread13 material, as well as the creative process, some APGAR material. So I really was able to dig in both cases and gain some additional insight, looking at these energies through the eyes of the participants, as well as whatever that the patient or the mother, those central aspects, but just exploring the energy through the participants' eyes. To me, it gave me some additional insight, and I thought that I would offer these to you guys, for your experimentation, for you to use and try. Um, if you use either one of these spreads, I would really love if you would give me some feedback on the types of experiences that you have with them. Um, did you find the readings to be beneficial to you? Was the information valuable for you? If you are a professional reader and you would like to employ these in readings for clients, please feel free. The only thing that I ask is, if you do, um, please give me an attribution as the source of the spread, and I'll throw a little tagline down in the description bar, for you to use if you use this in a professional capacity. But I would really like to get some feedback from you guys on your thoughts on these spreads, on the concept of the birth and death archetypes, and using physical experience in order to explore the energies around those archetypes. So please, leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback if you use these spreads. Let me know how you find them. And I've got a couple more ideas for some additional spreads. Earlier on in some of my early videos, I said that I don't actually use spreads that much, and I really don't. But lately, I've felt called to kind of work through some deeper energies that I thought maybe utilizing spreads might help to sort of bring out some specifics. So this was sort of like the first fruits of that project, and I do plan to continue with developing some of those. I've got some notes down on some that I will probably be sharing a little further on as I get those developed. But if you, again, have any thoughts, comments, questions, please leave me a comment. I love to hear you guys discuss things. And yeah, just let me know if these are of any benefit to you, what you thought. And otherwise, good health to you in your process of birth and death, wherever that may find you in your life right now. And for now, I will say goodbye. I'll see you next time, guys.